You work for the President of the United States.
I work for the American people.
So can the President fire you?
He can.
He can fire you, correct?
Yes.
So isn't it a conflict of interest that you're going to be making these decisions and the President has full power over you?
I think you're confused, Senator. I am not part of the decision.
Well, you're certainly a person that send on the wire transfer, and I think that's why there's a lot of people that are actually do not trust and do not trust the President's actually looking at his best interest.
I guess you're saying that
I'm controlling the time here.
Obeying the law.
I'm controlling. You're not obeying the law. You're plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering taxpayer dollars.
This may look like a heated exchange over legal process, but it's actually a stress test of institutional independence. What's really being tested here is whether the financial machinery of the federal government can remain neutral when executive power has a direct personal stake. This raises broader questions about how accountability survives when authority, money, and enforcement collide. In this video, we'll break down how the system is supposed to work, where the pressure points appear, and why this moment matters far beyond a single lawsuit.
Sir. Senator Gallego.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Bessent, thank you again for being here today. We kind of touched on this earlier. In addition to being Treasury Secretary, you are serving as Acting Director of the IRS. So following up on Senator Kim's questioning, so you are fully aware that the President is suing your agency for $10 billion.
Yeah.
We would agree. Would you agree that $10 billion is a good sum of money?
Yes, sir.
Where would that be cut from? Let's say for some reason he actually wins that lawsuit. Where would that $10 billion come from?
Again, it would come from...
Process-wise. I'm not asking like your opinion whether it's right or wrong.
It would come from Treasury.
It comes from Treasury, which comes from the general fund?
The Treasury general account.
So taxpayers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Part of the 440,000 taxpayers whose returns were leaked.
If the President, they're not suing, but if the President prevails in this lawsuit, he's going to be able to pocket that money. My question is the President, has anyone in the President's office talked to you about this lawsuit in any regard?
They have not, and the President said he will donate the proceeds to charity. You may have missed that.
So no one at all has discussed this to you whatsoever?
No, sir, and the President said he will.
Have you received, I didn't ask any more questions. Have you received any advice from Treasury's legal division about how to handle this potential conflict?
This is a Justice Department matter. They represent Treasury in it.
Have someone from the Department of Justice actually come and talk to you saying that this is their purview and you need to stay out of it? Or who has discussed to you what is your role in this?
Our general counsel, who's sitting behind me, has told me that it is a Justice Department matter. The Justice Department defends Treasury in matters like this.
Okay, so it has been discussed with you. Do you have any final say at all in the process of this? Or is the DOJ just going to instruct you to cut a check and or settle and you have no independence to actually make a decision whether or not the President deserves $10 billion?
Again, that is a DOJ matter.
And so the DOJ will entirely make that decision whether or not the President should receive $10 billion. You have no say at all.
Correct.
So you would just have to write the check if you were told to write the check.
Correct.
And you would write the check willingly if you were told by a DOJ to the President.
I will follow the law, Senator.
Okay. I mean, I think for many of us, this is very simple, and I think if this had been happening in any other countries, it would look absolute like a total shakedown of the American taxpayer. Are you also aware that President Trump has filed claims seeking $230 million from the Justice Department for investigations conducted during his previous candidacy?
I'm unaware of the cumulative number.
Okay. So if the President wins or settles these claims, that money will come also from the Treasury Judgment Fund, which you do control. Have you recused yourself from any decisions about paying the President on these claims?
Again, I'll follow the law, and I'm not involved with any of this. It stems from justice.
So even though the Treasury Judgment Fund is called the Treasury Judgment Fund, you have no control over the Treasury Judgment Fund?
We act as paymaster.
So you will sign it then?
Sorry?
You will sign the check then? If you're a paymaster, you'd be the person's signature is to the Treasury Judgment Fund?
I would assume it would be a wire transfer.
Yes, I'm assuming we're not that old school.
Yep.
But that being said, so you have no say in this whatsoever. You will only basically follow what the DOJ says, but you're the person that actually is the final person that pushes send essentially on the wire transfer.
Yes.
And even if you feel or that it is unjust, the fact that this president is basically plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars, you will still hit that send button.
Even if I believe that 6103, the IRS tax code, was violated and 440,000 taxpayers were leaked.
So back to this other thing. So now, do you believe, though? I mean, do you understand why some of us see a problem with that? And let me ask just a very simple question: do you work for the President of the United States?
I work for the American people.
So can the President fire you?
He can.
He can fire you, correct?
Yes.
So isn't it a conflict of interest that you're going to be making these decisions and the President has full power over you?
I think you're confused, Senator. I am not part of the decision.
Well, you're certainly a person that send on the wire transfer, and I think that's why there's a lot of people that are actually
is not part of
do
the
not
decision.
trust and do not trust the
Well,
president
I
actually
guess you
look
were
at his
saying-
best interest.
I guess you were saying that
I'm controlling the time here.
obeying the
I'm
law-
controlling. You're not obeying the law. You're plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars.
Obeying the
Plundering
law
U.S.
is a
taxpayer
decision.
dollars.
Obeying the
Plundering
law is a
taxpayer dollars.
decision.
Plundering. Thank you. You'll back.
What we just witnessed in that hearing room was not a policy debate or a routine exchange. It was a moment of exposure, a moment where the machinery of government was forced, line by line, to explain itself out loud. When Ruben Gallego asked a simple, almost disarming question, where would $10 billion come from if the president wins his lawsuit? The answer landed with the weight of a gavel. From Treasury, from the general fund, from taxpayers. And when Scott Bessent acknowledged that reality, something far deeper than budget math came into focus. This was not about a hypothetical lawsuit, it was about the structure of power itself. A sitting president suing the very institutions designed to serve the public, seeking sums so large they defy abstraction, while the officials tasked with safeguarding public funds explain under oath that they would simply follow instructions. Write the check. Push, send, transfer the money. Not as a choice, but as a process. What made this moment so unsettling was not anger or theatrics. It was the calm, the procedural language, the repeated insistence that this was someone else's decision. The Justice Department's matter, Treasury as paymaster, the law as a shield, not a compass. Each answer peeled back another layer of how authority disperses responsibility until no one is left accountable. And yet the outcome still arrives. Gallego pressed on what millions of Americans instinctively understand. If public money is redirected to settle claims brought by the most powerful office in the country, the public deserves clarity. Not just legal clarity, but moral clarity. Who benefits, who decides, and who bears the cost? When Bessent confirmed that he could be fired by the president, yet would still be the final hand executing a transfer ordered by another branch, the contradiction was impossible to ignore. This is how systems fail without collapsing. Not with sirens, but with paperwork. Not with declarations, but with compliance. Everyone acting within their lane. Everyone deferring upward. Everyone claiming neutrality. And yet the consequences move in only one direction. The hearing revealed something essential about modern governance. Power no longer needs to command openly. It only needs the system to function as designed. When lawsuits become tools, when settlements are framed as routine, when accountability is diluted across agencies, the result is not chaos. It is efficiency without conscience. Throughout the exchange, Bessent repeated a phrase that echoes across Washington. I will follow the law. It sounds reassuring. It sounds responsible. But law without judgment becomes automation. And automation, when aligned with political pressure, becomes something else entirely. A mechanism that can move billions without ever asking whether it should. Gallego's frustration was not rhetorical, it was structural. He was confronting a reality where officials insist they are powerless at the very moment they are most consequential, where the act of signing, wiring, or authorizing is minimized as clerical, even when it alters the public ledger forever, where independence exists on paper, but not in practice. This is why the question, who do you work for, mattered so much. When Bessent said he works for the American people, it was an affirmation many want to believe. But when the follow-up revealed that the president retains the authority to remove him, the tension became unavoidable. Service to the public, under threat of dismissal by the very figure seeking the funds, is not a neutral position. It is a test of integrity under pressure. And this is not about personalities. It is about precedent. If the system can absorb this without resistance, it sets a template. One where future leaders learn that accountability can be outsourced, responsibility deferred, and public funds repositioned through legal channels that appear clean while eroding trust. The hearing room fell silent, not because the questions were answered, but because they were not. Every deflection clarified the stakes. Every procedural explanation underscored how fragile the boundary is between lawful process and moral abdication. what we are left with is a choice. Not for the officials in that room, but for the public watching. A choice to accept governance as a closed loop of authority protecting itself. Or a choice to demand transparency that goes beyond compliance and reaches into purpose. Because democracy does not fail all at once, it weakens incrementally when systems are allowed to operate without scrutiny, when legality replaces legitimacy, and when no one is willing to say out loud that something may be permitted and still be wrong. Moments like this hearing matter because they pull the curtain back. They show how decisions of enormous consequence are made quietly, carefully, and often without anyone claiming ownership. And once seen, they cannot be unseen. This is why independent journalism exists. This is why hearings must be watched, not summarized. And this is why accountability begins with attention. If you believe the public deserves to understand how power truly operates, support our work. Stay informed, stay engaged, and subscribe to Liberty Report USA.